We're about a third of the way to the $6 million fundraising goal for Hospice Ottawa West. Today we're talking about a garden component, and on CFRA, particularly on Wednesday, on Lowell Green's program, we're going to have everyone in the community encouraged to be part of this project, and in particular Steve Madeley's very intimate portion of it, which is a garden which is honoring the memory of your wife, Gayle. It is so glorious to know that someone who loved flowers so much and loved gardening so much is going to have a legacy that way. And it's odd for you, when you've been so generous-spirited in so many ways in fundraising efforts, for there to be a personal component to this, Steve.
Well, it was entirely unanticipated. You know, the decision by Hospice Ottawa West to put in a garden, I think, is truly an inspiration. It will raise this to a status that brings it to the very best in the world. Because while some may regard a garden at the end of life as being a little bit of a fancy touch, I think it's central to saying to someone who's at that final stage of life and to their family, you're going to be surrounded by the beauty you loved all your life and the final days of your life, and by the calm and by the spirit that so many people enjoy when they are out in nature. And so I'm just thrilled that the decision was made to go with the garden, and I'm very thrilled that it was decided to name it Gayle's Garden.
And so many of the plants in the garden will be her favorite plants, and it's so true when you say that. This is where families will go for comfort when they're dealing with that end-of-life time frame with their loved one. Mary Shaw, you've been so connected to Steve and Gayle's story. You're one of Gayle's dearest friends,
yeah.
And I think that you were the gal who was digging in, planting that garden before Mother's Day this year,
yeah.
or one of the many.
Yeah, when Gayle was truly very, very sick in May, she just couldn't plant those flowers, so my kids and I went over and planted some in the backyard, because we know how important her backyard was to her. It gave her some peace and comfort, and her and I would actually sit out there a lot and talk or not talk. And yeah, her whole backyard and the colors and the smells, and just, yeah, gave her real peace and serene. So it's wonderful that this is gonna do that for other cancer patients.
And it must do your heart a world of good to know. I mean, I did not know Gayle personally, Steve. I've known so many people who have said such beautiful things about her over the years, but as someone who did know Gayle Madeley very personally, how is this garden such a fitting tribute?
Well, I can just picture Gayle like smiling down as it's being built, and then every time somebody will go and sit back there and just take some comfort in her, it will just give her happiness and peace, and even for Steve and I and all her friends to know that it's giving others peace it's just truly special.
And Amy Desjardins, you know how every small detail during this very personal time in someone's passage is so critical. So the garden means so much to you, and the overall project is very ambitious, very needed. Tell us what's happening this week and why viewers and listeners should be so excited.
Well, we're thrilled that an entire Lowell Green show on Wednesday from 10 to 12 on CFRA will be dedicated to talking about the vital need for hospice beds in Ottawa, to talk about our exciting plans for Hospice Ottawa West, and of course to highlight the wonderful tribute to Gayle Madeley.
We have to say that this doesn't happen alone. I mean, when we're talking about something, a project of this nature, it's about community, it's about businesses in community. Want to invite in Doug and Neil Ritchie, because it didn't take very long for Doug and Neil to respond, did it, Amy?
No, not at all. It was one phone call to Doug, and he said, how can I help? What can we do to pay tribute to Gayle? And they were first on board.
First on board to the tune of?
$10,000 worth of plant material over the project. So we're very happy to be offered that opportunity. And when I was contacted, it was a no-brainer. So I mean, I think it's something that we really wanted to do, especially for Elizabeth Briere, and this is a perfect opportunity.
And the whole effort is a gorgeous one. Neil, I know you're the guy, the brother of the two, on the ground here most of the time, and so often when people come in, they do buy a plant because it reminds them of someone, do they not?
Quite often, yes. It's people who want to buy trees or bushes for memory of a person that lasts forever, well, a long, long time anyways.
And the garden does create that long-lasting magic.
Hopefully it'll be all planned that it's going to be viewable also in the wintertime, and a lot of things can be planted that will have aesthetic value in the wintertime.
We want to thank you all, and we've shown some artist renderings, but they're very, very basic. It's just sort of the quick idea. But overall, your wish for this, Steve?
Well, my wish is that the families of the West End of Ottawa are going to have the kind of experience that we had at the very last few days of my wife's life. That is serenity, peace, family, friends, and beauty. And that it will bring their families comfort, to know that they've gone in those last few days of their lives surrounded by all of that. And I can just tell you that, you know, I look back at Gayle's passing and I say, nothing could have been more beautiful. If God had a plan, it was for that. And we're just so fortunate. I want everybody else to have that.
Thank you very much for sharing that, Steve. And clearly it's a legacy of your love, a 43-year marriage. And all the rest, we want to thank you, Mary, Doug, Neil, and of course, Amy. We're going to have information on our website as to how you can be involved, but definitely listen to Lowell Green on Wednesday. There'll be information on our program through the early part of the week as well.